Hey, how's it going? We're waiting on a couple more people. I'm just looking at my watch here. It looks like we've got a couple more seconds before we get going. So, um, in the meantime, let me go ahead and hold on here. Okay, what I've done is I've muted all your microphones and I've also turned off your webcam, so you don't need to worry about how you look or making funny faces or whatever. I can't see you, and I've muted the microphone so that way if you're in a noisy coffee shop or you got a barking dog or a baby in the house while you're watching this, don't worry about it. It won't disturb anybody. Let's give this another 10 seconds and then let me let this last person get on here and then we'll get going. Okay, so welcome to the Corporate Spotlight for Pinnacle Brokerage and Family Heritage. My name is Eric Hamadi. I'm the sales director for Alabama here, and basically I'm just going to go through for a quick 20 minutes, 25 minutes or so, what we're doing here, what we're trying to accomplish, and the type of people that we're looking for. And my goal is at the end of this webinar, you'll know whether or not this is an opportunity you want to pursue, and then basically I'll get in touch with you afterwards and fill you out from our perspective. So put my information on there so you got it, my Twitter handle, my Skype later, and we'll just be going through what we're doing here. So first of all, I want to go through our process a little bit. We have a real simple 3-step process as we're building our sales team out here in Alabama. Number one is the Corporate Spotlight, which is what you're on right now. And like I said, I already told you what I'm going to be doing there, basically just telling you everything about who we are and what we do and how we do it. Secondly, is a one-on-one Skype interview, or over the phone if you don't have Skype. Basically today, I'm not going to get a chance to get to any of your questions, obviously. Below the slides there, you should see a chat box where you can put in your questions in real time. I won't get to those in real time, but what I will do is I'll keep an eye on those, and then at the end of the presentation, if there's one or two that I didn't cover, I'll go ahead and address it at that point. So the Skype interview that we'll do after this corporate overview is basically a chance for you to ask any questions that you had, and for me to kind of ask a lot of questions of you and get to know you better, and see if it makes sense for us to meet face to face. And the third part of our interview, which is a face-to-face interview, if you make it through the first 2 steps, then basically we'll have you come into our office over here in Southside and kind of decide whether we want to work together or not. This moves really, really quickly. So we are growing super, super fast, and so for the right candidate, we make moves real quickly, and so just let us know if you're that kind of person as well. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself and how I got into this business and how we started the company. I'm going to do that in a minute, but before I get into all that, I do want to tell you what we're looking for. Okay, we're really looking for a perfect match. I know that not all of you that are on this webinar or the one that I'm going to do, the ones that I'm going to do later on in the next few days are going to be perfect candidates for us. You're not going to want to do what we do, and that's totally fine. I interview about 100 people to find one that I want to work with. And on the flip side, not everybody that we talk to, we want to work with. So just in the interest of fairness, I want to tell you kind of what we want. Number one is a desire to help other people. We're in the business to make other people's lives better, whether it's covering them with our products, taking care of them financially when they go through a sticky situation, or helping them get into business, on their own and make the kind of financial income that they want. The second thing that we look for is you got to be a hard worker. And that's not somebody that works 80 hours a day. I mean, do we have or 80 hours a week? Do we have agents that do that? Yes, we do. We have some agents that are just animals in terms of how hard they work. But what we're really looking for is somebody to work a good solid 40 hours a week in building their business. So, and whether you're the type of person that can motivate yourself to go do that. Third is an open mind. Being coachable and teachable, basically. What we do is not rocket science, but there is a lot involved in becoming a professional in our business. And so you need to be a coachable and teachable person. Fourth is a positive attitude. I think that speaks for itself. You can accomplish so much more if you've got a positive spin on things. Fifth is leadership skills, because we are growing really rapidly, and so we're looking for people that we can build around as well. And then lastly is just a vision for your future. One of my mentors told me years ago, Eric, if you don't have a vision for yourself, you're going to end up buying into other people's visions for you. And so one of the things I look for is a very strong commitment to your own vision of what you want to accomplish. So bottom line is, we're looking for a perfect match. It's not everybody, and we get that, but I wanted to kind of go over those points with you. Let me talk a little bit about my favorite subject, myself. I'm just kidding, and who we are and how we got into this business. So Dynasty Financial is actually a division of Pinnacle Brokerage. And we started Pinnacle Brokerage in Houston, Texas in 2002. There were 5 of us that started the company, and none of us had ever been in insurance before. So I personally had been in software sales. I've been selling supply chain management tools to big companies. My buddy Brandon, he was selling hosting for a company in San Antonio. So both of us were tech guys. Mike was an oil field guy selling equipment to big oil companies. And then Larry who's our kind of our founding partner. You'll hear his name again as we go through this process. But Larry was a clothing guy. He was selling suits to executives. So we didn't know anything about insurance. And when we started out, because we didn't know what we were doing, we literally started out selling door to door to door. And I know that sounds crazy. I thought it was nuts at the time, but that's really the only way we knew to get started. Of course, we don't necessarily do that now anymore, and there's all kinds of different prospecting methods that we employ to get our agents in front of prospects. But back then, it was strictly a door-to-door business, and it's crazy that that's the way it worked. But we did really, really well, and over the years, the 5 of us grew into, now we've got over 200 agents. We're in 18 states. We've got 4 different sales director groups and over 200 agents that work with us. So it's a really, really exciting place to be. And Alabama is our newest state. So I literally just moved here, set up an office in Southside, and moved over into the Avondale district, if you know where that is, and right next to the brewery there. So just love the neighborhood, love the area. I'm excited about building Alabama and living in Birmingham for the moment. So what we're looking to do here is basically replicate what we did in Houston. How the 5 of us took it and grew it into a multi-hundred person organization, and doing several $1 million in sales every year. What I did was I brought 2 of my top agents. So there's 3 of us here, and basically the core of the 3 of us are building out our sales team here. We've already got our first class of agents hired, and now we're looking to add on to that. So it's a really, really exciting place to be, and I love being a part of it. So I'm glad you're looking at it. I want to talk a little bit about what we're going to cover here in this webinar. So number 1, I'm going to talk a little bit about our underwriter. So that's family heritage, and I'll get into that in a minute. Secondly, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our people and the kind of people that we build around and what they look like. I'm going to touch on our products. I'm going to touch on how we get paid. I'm going to talk about how we market those products and get prospects. And I'm going to talk a little bit about our training program, and then our selection process, what's next. Bottom line is, with this interview process, you're in the driver's seat. So if you like what you see, and we like you, we'll keep talking. If you don't, no hard feelings. You're not going to hurt my feelings if you don't want to be a part of our deal. We only want to work with people that want to work with us. So I want to talk a little bit about Family Heritage. So Family Heritage is actually owned by Torchmark. Who also owns Liberty National right here in Birmingham. Why did we pick them? So we're independent agents. And if you decide to come work with us, you'll be an independent agent. Literally, we can work with anybody that we want. We could have worked with Aflac or Colonial or Combined or Allstate. They all have great product lines. The reason that we chose them is because we knew the CEO, Howard Lewis, and you can Google him. He's a remarkable guy, and probably one of the best CEOs I've ever worked with. And their whole leadership team and their culture is all about doing what they say they're going to do. And in the insurance world these days, I know we all have horror stories of people that got insurance and it didn't pan out to work the way that they thought. And so that's something that's really important to us, that they do what they say they're going to do, not just to their customers, but also to their salespeople, because we don't work with them, but we get paid or work for them, but we get paid when we sell their products. So we want to make sure that they're going to do exactly what they say they're going to do in terms of paying us. So they are, rated A by AM Best. That's the best you can get in the insurance business. A plus rated by the Better Business Bureau. They're listed on the New York Stock Exchange. I mean, it's just a great company. It's the 55th largest sales force in the United States. And, you can see that little logo down there in this slide here. There are 14 different times they've won the Stevie's Awards. And that's amazing for a company that's only been in business for 25 years. The Stevies are the insurance industry's equivalent of like an Oscar. So it's just how they treat their salespeople and how their salespeople are trained. So that's the big reason that we chose Family Heritage to work with instead of another company. The other big thing about them is that we started affiliating with them in 2002, and you can see in this graph that's at the very bottom of that arrow. So we've actually seen them grow from a company that was doing $50 million a year over $250 million. A couple of years ago when Torchmark acquired them. So, and we've been a part of that. And so when you think about that kind of growth, as a salesperson, as a person that's looking for a product and a market to try to dominate, that's an exciting thing, because that means people want their products and people are willing to buy it. So one of the reasons that Family Heritage is such a compelling product line is because, it's supplemental insurance. So we don't sell Medicare supplement or major medical like Blue Cross Blue Shield, things like that. We don't sell car insurance or home insurance. We specialize in supplemental insurance. Okay, and what that does is they're products that basically pay people cash whenever they go through a serious illness or injury. It helps them to pay their bills. The big reason that Family Heritage is so much better than anything else that you can pick up out there is because what I circled there in red, they give people their money back if they don't use the insurance that they took out. So in other words, if you have an accident policy and you never have an accident, well, then they refund all your money back at retirement. Same thing with the cancer policy, the heart policy. It's an amazing thing. Even their life insurance, you buy it, and if you're not dead in 20 years, you win, you get your money back. I mean, it's really incredible. So I wish my car insurance worked that way. So I'm going to talk a minute about the need for supplemental insurance. Some of you on this webinar have friends and family members that have gone through things like cancer or a heart problem or a serious illness. And for those of you that worked really closely with that relative, you know that there are two different types of costs that people go through when they have a serious illness. Let's talk about cancer for a minute. My next door neighbor, when I was 27 years old, and her husband's David and Kristen lived right next door to me. And Kristen was 24 years old, and she got diagnosed with cancer. And she passed away when she was 26. But during those 2 years, David, had a sales job. He had a $60,000 base and made another, 40 or 50,000 in commission. And so he was running about 110,000 a year in earnings. And his wife, Kristen, was a school teacher, and she made about $40,000 a year. So together, they made about 150,000. Well, when she got cancer, after her sick pay ran out, and through all the treatments and stuff, after a couple months, they ran out of all her benefits basically, and the school had to let her go. And she lost her health insurance, which wasn't a big deal for her because she was able to get on David's plan. But for a lot of people, that's a big problem. But anyway, she got on David's plan, so all her doctor bills were covered, most of them. But her $40,000 income went away. And then David was spending so much time in hospital with her that, a big part of his commission went away. So they went from making $150,000 a year down to making, $65,000, $70,000, $75,000 a year. And that might sound like a lot of money to some of you guys on the webinar, but for them it was a massive hit. And so there's two types of costs. There's the small part of the pie is direct costs. That's paying the doctor, paying the hospital. That's what Blue Cross does, or Aetna or Humana or whoever you have. And the big part of the cost when people go through a big illness like this is indirect costs. That's lost income, savings, having to pay your house bills, insurance limitations, anything that, medications, things that aren't covered, traveling back and forth to the hospital, taking care of your kids. I mean, it's a big deal. So what Family Heritage does is they have these plans that pay benefits directly to the person. So they decide how to spend it. If David and Kristen had this plan, they would have had cash coming into their checking account. They could have used that for whatever they wanted. Second is it pays in addition to any other insurance that you have. So whether somebody's got Blue Cross or Aetna or Medicare, or even if they're uninsured, Family Heritage will pay them, doesn't matter what they have. It pays in addition to anything else. It's guaranteed renewable for life. The policy's benefits are never reduced, and the premiums also don't go up as you get older. And the policies are uncapped. So it's just a great way to protect your income and not have to worry about, selling things that you own or going into your 401k or whatever your savings are to pay your bills. And the great thing about Family Heritage is, see, like Aetna and Aflac and Combined and Colonial, they all have plans that do the same thing. And you see them on TV all the time. The problem with those plans are, it only makes sense to have an Aflac cancer policy if you actually get cancer, because otherwise you're spending all this money on a disease that you never got, and that's how the insurance company makes their money, right? Well, Family Heritage takes that premium that you pay into the policy, saves it up, and if you don't need it, every 20 years they give you 100% of your money back. So if somebody's 45 when they sign up for it, when they turn 65, whatever they've paid into it, they get 100% of that money back if they didn't need it. If they did need it, then Family Heritage just figures out how much they used over those 20 years, and whatever they didn't use, they get that back. So it's a real win-win situation. The only way you don't get money back after 20 years is if you use way more than you put in the policy. Well, that's why you bought it in the first place. So people really refer to that as a win-win situation for them. So, and I could go through hundreds of claims, that we have. Even right here in Alabama, people have purchased the policy with other agent groups in the past. And bottom line is, last year, Family Heritage paid out almost $20 million in claims. And this year they'll pay over $20 million in claims. So, and that's cash money that goes to real families and really makes a difference. I've had good clients of mine that used the policy after just even a couple weeks. They didn't know they had a problem, but one developed and the policy covers them. So it's an amazing product, and it really gives me a warm feeling in my heart whenever somebody that I covered needed the policy. I always hope nobody ever does need it, but when they do, it's great to be able to show up with a check and help them out. So the opportunity for our agents, okay, which is what we're talking to you about, is we set up our Dynasty and Pinnacle. We set that up completely different than most of the other agencies that you might be familiar with out there. Most other insurance agencies, you get a contract with a brokerage, and then when you sell a product, that product goes in the brokerage's name and you make a commission. Well, here we have it set up to where you actually own your book of business, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But you're basically in control of every bit of your business here, and we give you all the tools and mentorship to help you accomplish whatever you want. But basically, your destiny's in your own hands. Here with us. So one of the big things that people always ask is, how much money can I make here? And it's an uncapped, situation. So we don't believe in capping people's income. And I've had agents that start out and make, 6 figures their first year. I did. There are other agents that start out and make only, 40 or 50,000 in their first year. The average first year person that we work with is going to make just under $60,000 their first year. And that's average. 1 in 8 of our agents earn over $100,000 their first year. And there's money that you can make from both your personal sales and from your sales team sales as you grow. And one of the other great things about the way that our comp plan is set up with Family Heritage is, as long as people keep their policies, that agent that sold that policy will get a commission on that forever. And we'll talk about that more when we get to the comp plan, but that's probably my favorite thing about what we do. In addition to that, there's bonuses every month. There's weekly pay, weekly bonuses. There's stock awards. There's company trips to crazy places. Like, we're taking our whole sales team to Portugal here next month, and we've got a trip to Mexico that's coming up. So it's really exciting. The other thing is, there's a bunch of incentives and awards that we layer on top for our salespeople. So in addition to the commission that they make, we do awards and trophies and local incentives where people that do really well here might get local trips. around this region periodically. But bottom line is, I could go on and on and on about all the ways that we pay our agents, but the critical thing is just that we believe in rewarding people that do that work hard and do well. So bottom line. So I want to talk just a little bit about the very first step in our career path, because that's where all of you will be starting if you decide to come on board. And we decide to hire you. So the first is a sales professional. And most of our people come on board, and it says here 1 to 6 months that somebody might stay in this position. Here in Birmingham, that's been shortened a great deal because we're growing so fast. We need people to step up and take a leadership role as we bring in new agents. So people can get commission bumps, pretty quickly here. But bottom line is, I want to give you a scenario of how somebody might make money. So first of all, we do a weekly pay. So whatever we sold last week, we get paid for this Friday. And we've set up our commission on an advanced pay structure. So this is totally different than just like a straight commission type job. It takes away all the pressure to sell at like a really high volume because you don't have to sell a lot to do really well here. It takes all the pressure off when people are giving presentations to have to close every single sale. And the way that works is Family Heritage, when we sell a policy, Family Heritage will advance 7 months of commission all at once the very next week when you sell a plan. And I'll give you an idea. So we start all our sales agents out on 30% commission, okay, which is actually really good in the industry, but actually just goes up from there. So let's say that that I sell somebody a policy that costs $100 a month, okay? My commission is 30%. So the way that works is every month when that person pays their $100, I make $30. Okay. And, after several months, I've got, several dozen policies on the boards, and I'm making really good money every month. But what Family Heritage does is they take 7 months of those 30s, that $30 commission, and they advance that right up front. So if I sell somebody a policy that's $100 a month, the very next Friday, I get deposited $210 in my checking account from just that one sale. Okay. And what we do is we teach our agents to do 25 presentations in a week, and to sell 5 out of those 25. So we're kind of even expecting our new people to get told no 20 times. And even if they get told no 20 times, if they just sell 5 policies a week, they'll have over $1,000 a week in weekly pay. So it's a really, really good living right out of the gate, and it just goes up from there. From being a sales professional, many of our agents have already been promoted into team leadership. And what that means is they continue to sell, but they're given 2 or 3 people to manage. And they get paid for how well that team performs. Okay. The third step beyond that is advanced team leadership, and that's when somebody's managing 2 or 3 team leaders, and giving them mentorship and teaching a team leader to think not just about their own sales, but about how to personally develop the agents that they work with. And so that's a really exciting position. And then finally, we have sales director. Sales director is kind of the pinnacle, if you will, of our comp plan. And basically, that's when you come completely out of underneath Dynasty's umbrella and Pinnacle's umbrella, and you're your own person. You have your own agency. And we have, like I said, 4 groups that we've spun off over the last 12 years where they've done exactly that. They don't even work underneath our agency anymore. They're on their own and they have their own deal. So we've structured it to where anybody that comes in has the exact same deal that I have or anybody else has here to create whatever they want. So the way that we support that is when we first, let's say that you're one of the people that we want to work with. When we bring you on board, we'll do 2 things. Number one is we do a lot of paperwork to get you your insurance license. So we do a temporary license here in the state of Alabama, and that's good for 6 months. You don't have to take a test or anything. And we get you up and licensed and certified with the state of Alabama. And then we send you to Sales Academy, which is a 4-day boot camp where we literally pretend that you don't know anything about insurance and you don't know anything about sales. And for some of you on here, you're like, wow, that's me. And others of you on here, that have more experience, it'll be a little bit redundant, some of the stuff that we learn. But The big piece that we teach in that sales training is exactly how we build our business from scratch. And so it's amazing. And so it's a Monday through Thursday sales academy, and then Friday you're back in the field with your mentor that we assign you. And the next week you're working alongside that mentor to get your business up and running in your territory. And then on an ongoing basis, we have leadership academies, and we do those every 3 months. So, we do them in really cool locations. You earn those, but basically what those leadership academies are for people who don't just want to sell and make a good living selling, but they want to build a team and help really build our organization in their own organization. And so there's all kinds of things that even, I've been doing this a long time, stuff that I learn every time I go to a leadership academy on ways to manage people and mentor people and lead an organization. And we provide all that training. It's all completely paid for by Family Heritage, which is amazing to me. That's basically everything that I was going to cover with you. Okay. I've given you an idea of who we are, where we came from, what we sell, how we sell it, and how we get paid and trained. And so basically the next step at this point is when we sign off of this webinar is I'm going to have either myself or one of our recruiters call you. Okay. And just kind of see what you thought about the material. Was it compelling to you? Is it something that you definitely want to look into more? And if no big deal. And if it's yes, then, we'll talk about how to go forward from there. In the meantime, I've put a couple different ways for you to connect with us. So you can go to familyheritagelife.com to learn more about our underwriter. DFGRP.com, that's Dynasty Financial's website. We got a lot of cool stuff there. That's us and what we're doing. We've got myself. I've got a blog, dcoffline.com, where you can connect with me. I've got a bunch of different interests in addition to insurance, and I'm kind of fun to connect with if you feel like it. And you've got my Twitter, my Skype, and my cell phone. So I actually had a guy 2 days ago call me before I could even call him and said, "Hey man, I want to talk to you about that job. I loved it." So anyway, that's who we are and how you can connect with us. I did want to take a second here. Let me go down here to these questions and see if I left anything out. Let's see here. Okay, so one of the questions was, is there a salary? So no, we don't do a salary here, okay? It is not straight commission. Again, we advance you commissions when you make sales. There's bonuses, there's weekly incentives, etc. So it's not a straight commission job, but there is no salary. Now, that being said, we do train our new agents, and every single one of our new agents will make sales their first week. That's a commitment that we make. Either they make them themselves or we make sales and we give them the policies. But either way, you will make money your first week. We don't, we make sure that everybody starts off with a good start. And I rarely have anybody that doesn't get paid every single week. Okay, so what's another question here? Do we pay for training? So great question. We cover all the expenses of our training. Okay, so our sales trainings are in Nashville, Kansas City, and Dallas right now. And depending on what week we decide to get you started, we'll either reimburse you for gas to get to Nashville, or we'll pay for you to fly to either Kansas or Dallas. And we pick up the tab for the hotel room while you're there. And so you won't come out of pocket at all, other than what you are going to eat, basically. But we don't pay you to go to training, if that makes sense, right? So it's a week where we're taking care of the expenses, but you're not making any money, more than likely, unless you're going to sell something that Friday. Okay. Let's see here. What's another question here that I got? Do you need to get a license? So yes, you absolutely have to have a license in the state of Alabama to sell insurance. But Alabama has this really cool thing where you can have a temporary license for 6 months. And they only do that with certain companies, but Family Heritage is one of those underwriters that we basically vouch for you, and then Alabama says, okay, well, we'll let you work with these guys for 6 months without passing a test or taking any licensing exams. And so it kind of helps you get your business up and going, puts money in your pocket, helps you get off to a running start, have some people on your team. And then after you've been doing it for about 4 or 5 months, then we can, work on getting you licensed. And it usually takes about a week. And it costs about $150 or so after you factor in the test and the exam and everything. But at that point, that's, you've got money in your pockets, and it's your license. You get to keep it forever anyway. So let me see if there's anything else here. Somebody says, how soon can I get started? So basically the way it works is as soon as we get off the webinar, I'll be scheduling my one-on-one interviews. And then after the one-on-one interviews, the face-to-face interviews. And at those face-to-face interviews, if I like somebody, I'm going to go ahead and make them an offer. So it could be within a few days, I think that's pretty much, there were a couple others, but they're kind of duplicate questions. So that's pretty much it for me. I really appreciate you guys logging on and being a part of the webinar. And feel free to touch base if you don't hear from us first. Thanks.